Voyage.
I've always thought of life as a collection. Relics, memories, stories. They're who we were, who we are, and who we will become.
What was unusual is that throughout my whole life, I've had episodes that drew me close to death. By all rights, I shouldn't be here. I ended up reliving parts of my life just sitting in this boat next to the buoy.
This is Michael Wagner. He could, and by all accounts should, have died a number of times. This is his story.
Rode around in a rowboat through these waters since I was 6 years old. Living out in the Hamptons of New York, Long Island is a dream. What actually made me wake up was the fact that I've been so many places, but I always came back to the same pond. And I just knew those waters were my way around it. So I picked up the saxophone and I got pretty good for a while. I wanted to find a place to play it, so I wasn't going to be waking my wife up or any of the neighbors. So I decided to take a boat out and go out to this buoy, and I'd sit out there and play. So I did a big thermal of coffee, and I jumped in the boat, started up the little motor, and went through the fog. That was also something that was unusual for that time of year. We didn't get really thick fog right on in Hampton, Southampton. You know, my God, it was rare. So I thought I'd go do that, and I'd just get out of the way of everybody so they don't hear me. Then I thought maybe I'd make foghorn sounds or something. That's a buoy, just be a joker, but the water was clear. There was nobody out there. But it was so flat, it was like a mirror. The surface would reflect the atmosphere above it, which was nothing but heavy fog. And it was unusual because you couldn't see that far in front of you. And I just dead reckoned the boat from one position. I knew my 17 degrees to the right. And I just got on that course, and the water was so smooth, the wake following straight as an arrow, I was able to dead reckon right to that buoy. Tied up to it. It was kind of unnerving. It felt eerie, you know. It was like I was in purgatory. It was the afterlife or something. I don't know if I was feeling close to God or close to the devil. It was somewhere in between. So I sat there and I put a reed on the saxophone and I picked it up and blew a couple of notes. I've been so many places, you know, but I always come back to there. I've been to Tahiti. I've been to Australia. In the Indian Ocean, it's a coral atoll, and that's the equator. It's called Diego Garcia. That's where I experienced the fearsome coconut crabs. These are crabs that climb up the tall palm trees and pull down coconuts. And they get them on the ground, they husk them, and they crack them open, they eat the innards of the coconuts. I think about the power that the coconut crab has in his pincers to do that. Awesome. Just awesome. And this coconut crab was tickling the temples with its claw until I woke up and realized what was happening. I thought it was maybe some insects or something. What's unique about that island, that location, is that there's no bugs, there's no mosquitoes, there's no flies, there's nothing. So I heard this snapping noise like it was a cricket or like some kind of a bug that made clicking noises. My temples were really lit me up.
The first time Michael nearly died, he was 15 years old.
I was riding around with a tractor in my backyard, picking up tools for a family project. We were fielding fencing for a corral. We had some ponies that needed to have a place to go without our having to hold them on a leash. Where can you let out your Rottweiler to go do his business and not be involved with anybody else and wander off? So my dad's gentleman's farm up in Auburn Hills, Michigan. We had chickens and ducks and sheep and ponies. Anyway, I was very much learning the rural life, having chores and things, watering the animals and giving the chickens some grain, that sort of thing. And I drove this tractor up a hill. And tractors are unstable because they only really touch on 3 or 4 points. I was being stupid. I was playing race car driver, and I hit the clutch with the motor running high speed, and thing pulled the wheelie, and where it came over on top of me, smashed my face. I had major surgery, and I was 1/4 inch from being dead. I started out doing motorcycling as a kid with a mini bike. You start with a lawnmower engine and a little frame, donut wheels. I was really wanting to get to know some of the girls in the neighborhood. I looked at myself in the mirror after that tractor accident, and I just thought, oh, God, no girl is going to want to date me. I looked like something out of a Halloween movie. Blood everywhere, and my face was smashed in. And, only by the grace of God did I make it through that. And I ended up going to Henry Ford Hospital, and the surgeons there put my face back together again.
In college, what seemed like a simple road trip would also put Michael's life in danger.
In the fall of the second year of college, sophomore year, at Denton, we were pretty close to being a dry town. You could only get 3.2 beer, which they called near beer. You had to suck down twice as much beer in order to get what you get out of regular beer. And so we'd have to drive over to the next town, Newmark, in order to get some beer. We often had little beer bashes with real beer. Campus always provided these keggers with 3.2, and that was cheap for them to do it. And they could put it out there and they wouldn't worry about how much we were drinking because we couldn't get very drunk on it. I was at one of those things and went back to the room, and I had a couple of guys stop by, friends of mine, and were saying, hey, we have a connection with this guy in Denver. He's got really great pot.
Denver? No.
That was my first thought, too. But this is pure dirt.
Sure, but Denver?
Denver's not that far. Oh, and we can get the real thing there cheap.
Why doesn't Joe go?
I asked him. He said he'd love to, but his baby barely gets him to Pittsburgh.
Who is paying for this?
Joe's guy is fronting him, which means he's fronting us. This is pure profit for us, pal. Come on, Michael. I need something to get me through finals.
You make a compelling argument, but no.
You've got wheels. We sell most of it, make a little cash, keep a little stash. 2 kilos, 71-ounce bags. An ounce of Primo for $50? That's $3,500. Pretty good Christmas money. We'll take turns driving. I'll even take a lesser share, because I know I'm putting you out with this. But I need it, buddy.
What about gas money?
We can scratch that up. Come on. It'll be an adventure. What do you say?
We were stopped back in, I think it was Indiana.
Oh, man.
What did you do?
Just stay cool.
Evening.
Evening, officer. What can I do for you?
Want to step out of the car?
I can do that. As I opened my door, I saw the panic on Ralph's face. I tried to signal with one hand, subtle, for Ralph to cool it. But that was when another light appeared outside Ralph's window. It illuminated the sweat on Ralph's brow. A second trooper's flashlight, the first guy's partner, I guess. It's fine. I followed the lead trooper to the front of the car.
Did you know you had a headlight out?
Yeah, it's been giving me trouble for a minute. You know these old cars.
She is a beaut.
My grandparents, but my granddad passed and my grandma doesn't drive anymore.
You got a fix for this?
Should be easy. I'll pull up at the next stop. Probably a couple wires shook loose.
These roads get dangerous at night. No point in making it harder on yourself.
Yes, sir.
Everything all right?
The other trooper's flashlight once again illuminated Ralph, who couldn't simply keep his mouth shut. Yeah.
Where you boys headed?
Just to St. Louis.
This late at night?
Got a girl that goes to school there. When she calls in the middle of the night, you gotta go. Hoping she has a friend for my buddy. Hopeless, you know. I managed to get the trooper to crack a smile.
I know hopeless. All right, gonna let you off with a warning, but get that thing fixed or find a hotel for the rest of the night. My buddies in Missouri might not be so kind.
Will do. Thank you, sir. I got back into the car and we watched in the rearview mirror until the troopers drove away. You about had a heart attack, man.
That was cool.
Once the troopers were gone, we started driving again.
10 hours, 12 hours of driving. We covered enough space that we get there and find this guy that we're going to get the pot from. And he could give us 2 kilos of pot. That's 4.5 pounds. And then we figured if we had any money left over, we'd go ahead and fill a trunk with Coors. Back in those days, Coors beer was really a highly regarded thing. Most of the guys went back there, went skiing, and they drink this stuff called Coors. And it was particularly good with smoking pot. So that's what we were going to come back with. Unfortunately, it didn't turn out that way.
I woke gradually, groggy. Ralph had been driving all night. Morning, man. How are we doing?
Hey man, we're doing good. The Missouri border is just ahead in Kansas City. Sleep okay?
Like a rock. Want to pull over and swap?
I'm okay for a bit. Maybe after Kansas City.
Snowed, huh?
Yeah, I can see okay. Didn't come down that heavy. That headlight keeps blinking though.
I'll clean the bulb contacts when we switch.
Wait.
The road curved to the left, but the car didn't. Ralph desperately yanked on the wheel.
Hold on!
It was like we were taken by an unseen force, sliding. The tires disconnected from the pavement. Everything slowed to a crawl. Ralph grabbed for the seatbelt. The front end of the car lurched up on an ice pack. I ducked behind the front bench, wedged myself in. The world was silent except for the creak of the car as it began to tilt. As the front end dipped, the doors popped open. My duffel tumbled out like a rock, dropping 100 feet below. An icy wind forced me to curl back. The car teetered for what felt like an eternity. A moment between life and certain death. I squeezed my eyes shut. Just as I was sure I had taken my final breath, I felt the car gently bump on the rear end of the pavement. It slid backwards. The front tires gripped, and I opened my eyes. Time went back to normal. We scrambled. I crawled on my hands and knees from the back seat to the ice.
What the?
Ralph couldn't manage to undo his seatbelt. It was like his fingers stopped working.
Help me, man. Please help me.
Breathe, Ralph. Just breathe. I leaned over Ralph, careful not to put any of my weight on the vehicle just in case. The seatbelt popped open and Ralph barreled out the door. We stared at each other in disbelief.
The engine block was cracked. The whole front right was curled under. So the car just sat with its ass in the air. It just couldn't be fixed. So we were expecting a squad car to show up to investigate the accident. My buddy and I were tossing our hot pipes and lighters and stuff off the overpass. And that was a long way down. There's no question about that. My life would have been over then. My dad was actually very cool about it. My buddy called his dad. His dad exploded on him. He was yelling at his son so much that we could stand 5 feet away and hear the whole conversation of the phone call.
The car was wrecked. The cops helped us, but also charged us with damage to public property. Ralph took a deep breath before calling his father from the police station phone.
Hi, Dad. I've got a little problem. I was driving a friend's car and we slid off the road and I got arrested for denting the guardrail. Could you wire $300 bail? Oh, and my buddy's car is wrecked, so I'll need a little more to get us back to campus from Kansas City.
What the hell are you doing in Kansas City? Are you out of your goddamn mind?
I had to make the next call.
I know. I'm really sorry, Dad. It was snowing and... Right. I'll pay you back. I swear. I can get a job over break, or... Dad, please. Okay, thank you. Really, thank you.
Sorry about your dad.
Sorry about your car.
While Michael was still in college, Ralph died in a freak accident. The combination of their near survival and Ralph's subsequent random death reinforced for Michael the arbitrary nature, the roll of the dice of life and death. Michael had a curious relationship with his father growing up.
He's a wild man. He's creative, quick thinker too. A little Irish in him, I guess. He also drank pretty well too. He knew his way around the bar. And he's gotten into trouble. I remember him a couple of times come home and Mom was pissed, wrangling him up and down. And of course, it was all muffled through the walls of my room. He got in a couple of car accidents too. He was very forgiving, very understanding. I always kind of kept him at arm's length because he could also be dangerous. I didn't really get to know him until later on in life. As a kid, he was always gone in the morning before I got up. He'd always come home after I went to bed. My mother arranged it that way so the interaction would be minimized. Because he would, say something happened at school, he'd get into it and was trying to find out what happened and who's at fault. So I did get to know my dad really well at a really young age. I mean, go fishing trips and when we were on vacation and stuff, that was cool. But during the school year, he was a little tough. Once I got to know my dad is after I got out of preparatory school. When I come out as a high school grad, the first trip we took to Nairobi, Kenya, was when I had that near accident with an elephant. So I ended up sharing with him what I went through with the elephant. I wanted to be sure he wasn't going to be embarrassed by my son ran out amongst the elephants. Almost got trampled. So he and I, we had a few beers together and we got to know each other much better.
The other key relationship in Michael's life is with his wife, Samantha. Their relationship began inauspiciously.
Samantha was a cute gal. She lived within the neighborhood. I kind of saw her initially when she was the best friend of my diving buddy. He and I would come back and commiserate over a beer at his back porch. His twin sister came walking through and had Samantha with him. I said, "Oh, who's that just walking with you?" He said, "Oh, a neighbor kid and my sister." "Tell me about your sister." "Oh, you don't have anything to do with it. She's a pain in the ass. She has a boyfriend and blah, blah, blah." And okay, fine, but what about the other one? "Oh, she's just a neighbor kid." That's when I first met her. She was just leaving high school and she was going to start college in Detroit in the fall. I was about to go aboard, join the Navy, and go through 5 years program. 1 year is the training in Newport, Rhode Island, and at Dam Neck, Virginia, and at gunnery school. When I got out on leave and came home to the family in Michigan, I'd go over there and say hello and how you doing and what's going on. And I would just keep in touch with her over that period of time. It wasn't until the last time I was able to do that. I had already been in 4.5 years. The ship was in dry dock in Bremerton, Washington. The Navy was going to overhaul it again. I had about 5 months left of my time. So I called her up on the phone and I invited her out. She came. We spent a week together and she flew home. I had such a great time when I called her on the phone, asked her to come back and play house with me. Much to my surprise, she did, with her trailer and full of stuff and her dog. So that's how that started. She lived with me the last 5 months. I was in the Navy. When I came out, that's when I ended up being in the press relations for motorsports, covered Riverside Racetrack, and had several clients in there. Everything in the early 80s was anti-performance. People were more interested in seeing how much miles they could get out of a gallon of gas. So public sentiment was waning for motorsports. Toward the end of my naval career, so many changes were taking place. People were leaving the crew list of the ship. Captain left. The executive officer who was going to lead the wardroom had 22 officers. We had a farewell party, and I was describing at the dinner table about how big these coconut crabs are and how I was really fearful of finding out what power they had. So Samantha said, "Oh, Ed, you always exaggerate." And I can tell you from the cadre of the guys in the wardroom, they all broke out laughing. It was like I was embarrassed. I said, "Oh, what are you doing to me, honey?" So I was kind of scheming at that. And she thought it was, just, I shouldn't have been able to take it. So I kind of gave her a hard retort. Not a word was said in the car from either one of us driving back to our little cabana that we had rented for the remaining term of my Navy time. And I'm thinking she's probably bought and dumped me, but she fills all the things on my checklist that I wanted for a wife. She turned out to be stubborn, but bright, sensitive, caring, and adventuresome, stone-headed. She was a skier and a motorcyclist when I met her. That showed me a lot because she's also a scuba diver. She was also a snow skier. She liked camping. She wasn't, the typical girly girl. She was a girl that you could go and take a handgun out and fire off a few rounds at those beer cans out on the fence. She'd do stuff like that. Kind of a tomboyish, but not really. Kind of a girly girl, but not really. Very versatile. I got her back in the cabana, set her down on the couch. She thought this was going to be it. I was going to give her a hard time. That's what I proposed. So completely caught off guard, she said yes. So since then, we've been partners in this thing we call life. 47 years. I've been so many places, but I always came back to that. By all rights, I shouldn't be here. I ended up reliving parts of my life just sitting in this boat next to the buoy.
Who lives and who dies? And what or who decides?
Hope Lives Here is a production of Voyage Media. The series is produced by Nat Mundell and Dan Benamor. This episode, Buoy in the Fog, was executive produced by Michael Wagner, based on his novel of the same name. The book is available on Amazon. A link is in the show notes. Story produced by Koji Steven Sakai. Written and directed by Dan Benamor. Starring Jonathan Regier and Ray Carcillo. Original music by Derlis Gonzalez. Edited, sound designed, and mixed by James Scully. If you're enjoying the show, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you're listening, and subscribe now for future episodes.